Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I know it's a bit premature, I know it's a wee bit early, we're into the international break, there's no club football for the next week or two. But I thought I'd still go into it because it's still kind of fresh on the mind. There's not really much Celtic related stuff to talk about for the next week. I'll try and make some form of video, try and even talk maybe about the Scottish national team and the games I've played. But I thought I'd make this to now because why not? Let's just get out of the way, let's get my thoughts in the air. And it's better earlier than never, I suppose. I mean, you could also say better late than never. That's usually the right way to go about it. But you know what, I'm just going to get it done nice and early. And today I'm going to give my predictions, my insight, my opinions towards Celtic's Europa League group stage draw. And how I think we'll perform and how many points we could take from the Europa League group stage this season. So as I missed out the Champions League, got put in the Europa League, and we were drawn our group last week. Also Rangers in the competition, I'm sure you'll be able to hear all their opinions over on CJ's channel or such. But here I'm here to give my predictions for our group and how I think we'll perform and if we can make it through to the last 32. If you didn't know, Celtic were given their draw as a second seeded team, a second pot seeded team. We were drawn with Red Bull Leipzig, Red Bull Salzburg and Rosenborg. 3 teams which will not be easy to beat. You know, I was hoping maybe we would be handed a little bit easier, but you know, take that. It's not the worst, but certainly not the best. You know, a kind of hard done by when it got to pot 3 and 4. I think we were given the hardest team from both pots. Pot 1 was a bit more generous, but Salzburg is still a team that we can't kind of brush over. I gave briefly my opinions on this group and briefly my opinions on what will happen in my live reaction video, but as I said in that video, that live stream, I wanted to keep the majority of my thoughts for these sorts of videos and the match previews as they roll along over the next couple of months. So here I'm going to give my preview. I'm going to talk about each team briefly, and I'm going to give my opinion to where we'll get our points and how many points I think we'll finish with, and if ultimately we will make the last 32, because that's the aim. The aim is to hopefully make it through to there if we don't make it to the last 32. Now, would it be necessarily a failure? I think a lot of people will look at it as a failure, and rightfully so. I think our aim should be to get through, and we should be getting through to the last 32. Despite, you know, being handed quite a difficult group, at the end of the day in the Champions League, our aim is to make the last 32 of the Europa League and not to finish 4th in the group. So this year, and in the Europa League, we should always be aiming to get to knockout football, because, I mean, if we were missing out in the Champions League in the first place, which is ultimately number 1, a massive blow, a massive miss, and quite a disappointment, pretty much a failure. And doing that, we need to make up for it by getting forward to knockout football after Christmas, which we're good enough to do, just as long as we can do the right things and avoid silly mistakes and defensive errors, shit like that. If we can avoid all the little things that make us drop points and the things we do when we choke and bottle it on the big stage, if we can try and cut them out from this Europa League group stage campaign, there is no reason why we can't make it through to the last 32. It's more than capable. So the first team to talk about is the pot 1 team that we've been handed, and that is Red Bull Salzburg. The Austrian champions, I believe. Are they the champions? I don't know if they're champions or not, but they're a team that we can't overlook. I think when we were drawing them at first, my ultimate reaction was that's the team that I wanted from pot 1. They're the easiest team. But they're a team that, you know, went to the quarterfinals of the competition last year, knocked out a couple of big teams on the way, and ultimately still have a couple of players. We took them on a couple of years ago, 3 years ago or such, when Ronnie Dyer was in charge, when in the Europa League, and they had a decent team then, and they weren't an easy team to beat. And I think it'll be the same story as well. We ultimately need to make the points at home count, and I'm going to say that for every single game. That's the obvious. The games at home, we need to rally behind the team, and I hope the fans, before I keep talking about Salzburg, I hope the fans don't take this approach, and the season ticket holders don't take this approach of, oh, it's only Europa League, it's not as important as the Champions League. Of course it's not as big a tournament, of course it's not as prestigious, we're not seeing us play the same kind of level of teams that we would normally see, but we should still be rallying behind the team, we should still be there to try and get us through the group stage. Ultimately we need to make that 12-man effect so important if we want to make it to the last 32 of the Europa League. That's got to be the most vital thing, you know, that's the thing that makes us outperform these big teams at Celtic Park, that 12th man, that wall, that voice, that extra 10%. We are that extra 10%, and we need to make that count in these Europa League games. There's no reason for us to dim down the atmosphere as a stadium. There's no need for us to stop turning up to fucking games and such. We need to get there in a full force, a full sellout stadium. We've got to make these teams, these opponents, scared to play us, nervous to play us, and understand that we're one of the most recognised sets of fans in the world for a reason. We need to be that voice. We need to be there through this group stage. I don't want us to take that same approach that, you know, we took under Ronnie Dyer and such as, you know, we've not made the Champions League. What's the point in got Europa League games and stuff like that? I hope we do not go like that. We need full houses, we need full voices, full spirits to make sure we can play these teams off the park. You've seen the difference it makes against teams like Bayern Munich last year. With the atmosphere that we generated against Bayern Munich at Celtic Park, we ultimately played them off the park. We were the better team that night. We were unlucky to lose. Really unlucky to lose, in fact. And that was mostly down to that 12th man. That's what we need. So teams like Salzburg, Leipzig and Rosenborg, when they talk to Rosenborg, I what to expect anyway, but I mean the other two, we need to show them that the fans make the difference. So Salzburg, at home, I feel like it's a game that we're more capable of winning. Obviously I'll go into more in-depth analysis when I come to my individual match previews for these teams. But a team we can't overlook, as I was saying. Quarterfinals last year, Austrian champions and such. As I said, I'm still unsure if they're the fucking champions. But a decent enough team. And there will be no pushovers. They're a pot 1 team for a reason. They are higher seeded than us. They have more coefficients. Ultimately, you could say they are a better team. But if we can perform on the day, if we can get the home crowd behind us for that match, we can easily take 3 points at Celtic Park. If we can push teams like Bayern Munich to the edge at Celtic Park and take points off teams like Zenit St. Petersburg and beat them at Celtic Park, I'm more than sure we could do it against Red Bull Salzburg. So that'll be an important home game, as well, all the home games. But that one's going to be really important. Away from home, it's probably a game that we are capable of going over and getting a decent result as well, whether that be a point or a win. Just as long as I said, we cut out all these individual errors, Dedrick Bayat and such, making mistakes, Mikael Lustig. We need to be on point, we need to keep our team on their toes, we need to be looking out for all these wee things that, you know, ultimately cost us games, no slack pass and stuff like that. I know for a fact we can go over to Austria and get a result if we play our best football. We went over to Belgium last year and we destroyed the Belgian champions. There's no reason why we can't go over to Austria and do the same to them. If we play our best football, it is more than capable. So I think Salzburg are a team that I'm quite happy, you know, because I've been handed the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, and I do like playing an English team because I feel like we always turn up playing English. I feel like there's always that extra bit of volume is cranked up from both the fans and the players in the park, because we always want to prove the English that we can hang with them, and we are just as good as them. So that's why I like getting an English team, but we could have handed it much worse. So Salzburg, decent team to get from pot 1, and if I have to put a prediction on how many points that we could get from the 2 games against them, I'm going to say 4. I don't see why we can't go away from home. I don't want to be that kind of over-optimistic, over-ambitious fan, but I'm just sitting down and being honest. You know, we have got a team that when they play their best is good enough to go away from home and play these sort of teams and get results. We've seen it against Anderlecht, a fine example, last year, but then obviously we got absolutely destroyed off Zenit St. Petersburg when we went to Russia. So I'm not overly putting on too high expectations and overly ambitious about them. I just feel like 4 points is a realistic amount to get from Salzburg. Moving on to Rosenborg Leipzig, a much bigger and harder team to play. Well, you could argue much bigger. Both of them are owned by fucking Red Bull. They're not very big as in history and such wise. But Leipzig are a dangerous team. A team that has came so far in the past 6 years or so since they were created and owned by Red Bull. They have climbed the ranks of the German tiers and headed to the Bundesliga, even placing highest second 2 years ago. They finished second in the table, which was massive. Last year, not as great a season. I think they finished 5th or 6th last season. I do keep up with the Bundesliga. I just can't remember exactly where they finished. But they missed out Champions League football last year. They weren't as good. They've ended up changing their coach. Out goes one Ralph, in comes another. But they've still got some very dangerous players, some very dangerous young players, a very youthful squad which can deal a lot of damage. Timo Werner, Emil Forsberg, Marcel Sabitzer, John Augustine, some great defenders, Viliop and Upamecano. They have got a fantastic squad. And it's not just a squad that looks good on FM and such, it is genuinely a really good team. And they will be the hardest team to play in the group without a doubt in my mind. They are a team which are well set up. And yeah, you know my opinion on German football, well, they're German top now. I shouldn't be really wearing that top at Leipzig, but you know, they're very, very, very organised. They know what they're doing. They're deadly on a counter-attack, Leipzig. Timo Werner is one of the best young strikers in Europe, one of the fastest young strikers in Europe. And on a counter-attack, there's probably no striker more deadly than him. So at Celtic Park, first of all, it's going to be a difficult game. And when we head over to the Red Bull Arena over in Leipzig, it's going to be even harder when we head over there. I think that's a tie where I'm going to be a bit more realistic and saying, look, the maximum I think we can get is 1 win at Celtic Park. And I think we will lose away from home. But even at Celtic Park, I think it'll be a very difficult tie. The way I like to think of this match against Leipzig is last year we turned up and played Bayern Munich at Celtic Park, played them off the park, we were unlucky to lose, and that was the top team in Germany. So there's no reason why we can't play to a level. It's all dependent on Celtic, it's how they feel on the day, because sometimes they could just fucking let you down on the park. And sometimes they can blow you away and play magnificent football, and that's what we need. We can't have any of these half-assed performances in Europe this year. We need to make sure we make it to the last 32. We need to perform our best against every single team in all 6 games. If we could do that, we can beat Leipzig at home. But I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to say 1 point from Leipzig. I'm going to say a draw at home, and I think we'll lose when we head over there. It's just me being honest. Hopefully it is a different scenario. Leipzig obviously off to a wee bit of a rockier start this season as well. They were defeated 4-1 by Dortmund in the first game of the season. They don't look as strong as what they were a couple of years back when they finished second in the Bundesliga, but nonetheless, still a very difficult team to play with very good players. Finally, the last team to talk about is Rosenborg, someone we know very well at this point. This will be, after this group stage, the 6th time in 2 years we have played them in European matches. They're becoming the new Barcelona. We can't get rid of them. And I'm pretty confident that we can take max points from Rosenborg. There's no reason as to why not, that we can't do that. We have beat them at home, we've beat them away. We're a team that knows about them, they know about us. And this is a bigger stage, so I think both teams are going to turn up that extra bit more. But when we do that, I think we'll be able to beat them twice. If we've done it through qualifying, I'm confident we can take the full 6 points off them, and we need to make those games count, especially. We've played them that many times that Brendan Rodgers should know what he's doing. The team should know what they're doing. They should know their weaknesses. But they could do the same with us, I suppose. But we should be able to do it if we've done it through European Champions League qualifying. We should be able to do it again in the group stage where ultimately the stakes mean more. And we know what we need to play for. We know what we need to get off them. So I don't see any reason as to why not we can't take the 6 points off of them. I'm not going to talk too much about Rosenborg because I don't need to. We know what to expect. We've played them 4 times in the past 2 years since Brendan Rodgers has been here. So why go into so much depth? So I mean, what is that I predicted there? I said 6 points from then, a point from Leipzig, and I said 3 points. Or 4 points even. That's 11 points. That should be enough to see us through. If I'm putting my honest prediction in, I think we can finish second in the group. I think Leipzig should be the favourites and should be top in the group. But you never know how these things go. It's a bit dodgy that we've been given 2 Red Bull teams, but you know what? We can't use that as an excuse. We need to go for it. We need to make sure we qualify because we need to make up for that Champions League exit, and this is the way to do it. So it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to predict a 2nd place finish for Celtic this season in the Europa League. And I think we can make it through to the last 32, but hopefully we can go as far to Baku as possible. But let's be realistic. We'll see what happens after the group stage, I suppose. If you have enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think from the Europa League group stage, how many points you think we'll finish with, and how you think the fixtures will end. As I said, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.